this computer. All right. Yeah, Randy, if you can turn your video on. See what that does.
I did.
You did? It's still showing off. I'll ask to start video. I got it. Well, we'll do it. Let's roll and go with it from the way we got it here. You're not. Oh, you're coming up now, I think.
Okay.
All right.
There's that beautiful face. There you go.
There you go. All right.
Let's
see here. We get that.
Hey, Randy.
Hang on one second. Corey, about to do my radio show. I got to call you back, okay? All right, bye. My brother. And let's put this, that reminds me, into airplane mode. Okay. Well, there's a lot of stuff, boy, to get through, including questions and all that. So, all right. Here we go. And Kevin, we'll get into your stuff as well.
All right. Take it Greg's not joining us?
Not today. No, he's got something going on. Anyway, here we go. And 3, 2. News Radio 840 WHAS. Good Sunday morning. Bob Sokoler and the Louisville Real Estate Show here with you for the next, well, to the top of the hour or so. Another one of our COVID shows, which means each of our participants coming from either a hotel room, an office, their home, whatever it might be. With us first, Randy Rocky, Swan Financial. You can reach him, does a great job, 645-0736. Randy, good to see you here this morning.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. And also, Kevin Dissler, Pitt and Frank Attorneys. You can reach Kevin and his team over there at 895-9900. How you doing? You okay, Kev?
I'm doing just fine. How y'all doing this morning, gentlemen?
We're hanging in there. We're hanging in there. There's a lot of interesting real estate-based news. We'll try to get to as much of it as possible and questions that some of you have been sending in. The lead really story is a new report published, the 15 cities with the lowest cost of living. You want to think what number one is with the lowest cost of living? Randy, Kev, any idea?
Usually somewhere in Mississippi.
What size cities?
Say again?
Are they? What size city?
Oh, could be any size city. Lowest cost of living. Just take a shot. I know it's really out there.
I would say in Arkansas. I can't tell you which one, but I would say somewhere in Arkansas.
Arkansas, Kev?
I'll go with Mississippi.
Okay. El Paso, Texas is the lowest cost of living. Half of Americans plan to move to reduce living expenses, according to a new study. Many will be targeting cheaper towns. So there was a study done of the 75 largest cities in the U.S. to find the most affordable areas in the country. They identified the top 15, all right? This is what surprised me, and this is why this is so amazing. Coming at number 5 in terms of the 15 cities with the lowest cost of living is Lexington, Kentucky.
Really?
But yes, Lexington. And more surprising is Louisville coming in at number 9 with the lowest cost of living. So I think that's a big plus for anybody who lives in the area who is thinking about staying here or having friends or family move here. Number 9.
Are they talking about in the country?
Yeah.
Number 9?
Yeah.
I have a place in Barron County, and I promise you it is a whole lot less expensive to live there than Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, they're looking at the 75 largest cities. So that's what they were looking
75.
at.
Okay. I'm understanding now. I thought you said all city. Okay. I was going to say,
75 largest.
It's so much cheaper to live down there. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't catch that.
But we are learning more about your spare time, Randy Rocky, and where you spend it. All right. Yeah. But and just in case you're wondering about the highest cost of living, these are pretty obvious, I think. Number 5, San Jose, California. Number 4, Boston. Number 3, Oakland, California. Number 2, New York. And coming in with the number 1 the distinction of being the most expensive city to live in, San Francisco. So there you go.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Some other things that I think really is of importance as defined just recently that the flow of people moving into the Louisville area has become even higher, which if you were thinking about buying a home, that's why it's more difficult, because there are people coming in, plus the existing people here. And then there are those who are thinking about selling but have yet to decide to put their homes on the market. And a new home now, so remember that what we're seeing is new home construction as opposed to resale. New home sales are 41.5% higher than a year ago at this same time, which should tell you how builders are doing. The problem, of course, is builders don't have the trades, and they are having a tough time getting supplies. The inside that headline is that buyers are increasingly targeting new home construction as they face low inventory of existing homes, and new home sales in October were 41.5% higher than they were a year ago. That's according to the Commerce Department and their report last week. Buyer traffic remained strong in October and going into November as well. So we've got a lot of positive things. There are some negative things that we are looking at, and that is the record number of homeowners who stand to lose their homes because of forbearance. Kevin, you've been looking into that. What have you found?
Yeah, I sent you a couple of things about the fact it was kind of startling to me in a state like Kentucky. They had adults in a household either renting or owning. 30 to 40% are currently late on a rent payment or late on a mortgage payment, and also show that the request for forbearance has, with the second or third wave of COVID, is starting to go back up again as businesses are closing down. People don't feel comfortable going out. So there's a lot of strain out there. But one of the things I felt very concerning was 30 to 40% of adult, either heads of households, whether you rent or you own your home, are behind, which I didn't think it was that bad.
How many are renting and how many of those are actual mortgages? Do you know, Kevin, by any chance?
I don't think it was on Bloomberg. I don't think they broke it down. And I don't know what the ratio in Kentucky is, home ownership versus renting. But those kind of figures are kind of attention getting. We got a lot of people.
My feelings on that are, it was promoted to do the forbearance in COVID, and a lot of people did do it, and some of them did it because they thought it was the right thing to do when they didn't have to. I would think that most of those are renters, and I could be wrong, but I don't know. I think that could be a little skewed. That I just don't think there's that many. I mean, there are a lot of people struggling. I'm not saying that it's terrible. It really is, but man, that would be. Could you imagine another 30 or 40% foreclosure rate, or even 20?
So part of the information that Kevin sent to me, and I did a little more deep dive in it, according to a Black Knight representative, I guess they publish weekly forbearance numbers. Forbearance saw another slight increase this past week, and that's a week before last, increasing by 27,000 from the previous. So they're not giving a reason other than the fact that there's still a lot of people out of work who can't pay their rent or their mortgage.
Wow.
Yeah, I think, and that's
that is a scary number. If we have, and let's say in the next 3 years or 4 years, I'm not saying we will, but let's just say we had 15 to 20% of the Louisville market going foreclosure. That would be unbelievable.
Well, go one step further. The percentage of adults living in households not current on rent or mortgage, where eviction or foreclosure is due in the next 2 months, is the bigger problem. So we're going into cold months, and we're going into a section of our community that can't make payment.
I agree.
And
wow.
There needs something. Yeah.
And I'm just curious, Randy, if you do request a forbearance, is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? What's the time frame on
that? Well, great question. And really, sincerely, different servicers are doing it different ways, and they have it where it's either 3 or 6 months. Some of them are saying, okay, then over the next 12 months, you have to be current again. Some of them are putting it on the back of the loan, and it's been very, very cloudy on that whole scenario. And it was I don't think it was well orchestrated on the front end either, Kevin, on people that they thought that that was the right thing to do, some people, and when it wasn't. And so that is all over the board to answer your question.
All right. Well, we wanted to make certain that issue was out there, just so everybody knows there are some problems. A little later on, coming up on today's show, where the locations where burglars check first for valuables. We're going to do a safety checkup in a little bit. So and just so you know, if you're watching this or want to replay this for anybody, you want to see the radio show, you can go to LouisvilleAnswers.com, and that will take you to a redirect of our actual show on YouTube, which we are recording for YouTube. All right, moving forward here, let's change back to some positive news. We're trying to mix it all in. Randy, record number of homeowners are standing to see lower mortgage payments. Mortgage rates have dipped to record lows. A record number of homeowners are eligible to refinance into lower mortgage rates, saving, according to this report, $309 a month, which is amazing. And I just did a refi with Swan. I'm saving $600 a month. And the mortgage rates for the past couple of weeks have been pretty stationary, hovering around 3%. And do you want to give out your NMLSP number?
Yes, NMLS number 26362. And you're right. And they really are dipping in the twos in a lot of APR, high twos, 2.8, 2.9. And then when you get in the 15-year, the APR is running 2.3, 2.4. It is absolutely incredible. I can't emphasize enough right now is the time to really make the move on refinancing or even purchasing. It is literally a point less than last year. So, on a $200,000 home, you're looking at, a difference in payment of $160, $170 a month. It's a lot of money.
So would you say if you're going to live in your home 2 more years or more to consider refinancing at this point?
I would, and it depends on loan amount. So, for example, on a $400,000 loan amount, your recovery, it usually can be as little as 8 to 9 months. So, absolutely. I think it's just something either come to me or someone like me and let them evaluate what's going on as far as refinancing, because there's no reason not to do it. I mean, it's like I tell people, a lot of times I'll save them $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 over the life of the loan, and I'm like, okay, you have 3 hours of this total time you sign the papers, you go to the closing, so you're making $15,000 an hour on your mortgage. So literally. So yes, I'm glad you brought that up, Bob. It just makes good financial sense to get it looked at now. And it's always good to pull your credit. It really is. It's a good thing to pull your credit. And look, I do it every 3 months. My wife and I both have our credit pulled every 3 months.
We'll give Randy's number out. We'll give Randy's number out in just a second for you to reach out to him. Are you, and I don't know, Kevin, if you see it, Randy, I think you might be seeing it. Are you much involved with appraisals where you're seeing appraisals come in over contract price? Because we're seeing spottiness where that is happening because the contract price for homes is so much higher than in some cases than what it's even listed for because there are so few homes on the market. Are you seeing any of that happening in your?
I'm seeing it both ways. I really am. I'm seeing where sometimes they get in a bidding war that's outrageous and it's coming in $5,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 lower, and I'm seeing where it's coming in $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 higher. But it is. I am not seeing as much as usual it coming in at purchase price or what we think that the refinance number should be. As far as what the value of the home is, it's a very it's a wild market in some ways right now.
It is even, and what's interesting, and Kevin, I think you'll appreciate this and add to this that because of COVID, everything got pushed later in the year, and what we're still seeing are a lot of closings going on right now on homes that went under contract 2 or so months ago, and even in December we're having more than I've seen. Would you both agree that we're still at record highs even this late in the year?
Yeah, this time of year it usually starts to slide off a little bit through the holidays, but I don't think we've really seen that. Part of it is, like you mentioned, the COVID delays in the process. You had someone that had it or, someone that was exposed, and it tended to delay the process rather than closing 45 to 60 days. People also trying to be worried about trying to find the next place. So they want to have a little bit more time to move out. So a lot of the transactions have tended to delay into the holiday period here. So we're going to have a fairly busy end of the year.
It's yeah. And Bob, we talked about this over dinner, is that things are starting to slow down a little bit on the purchases now. But I think, and Bob, you'll be able to really talk about what you think about this, is it was starting like mid-October. I'm seeing the first slowdown, and it isn't a giant drop, maybe 15% on purchases coming in our office at the 1st of December. And usually I start seeing that in mid-October. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I completely, I'm agreeing with you. I think the biggest problem that we're seeing, or I'm seeing, is that there are fewer homes on the market right now. And this is continually the problem.
True.
And I would tell you, if you are thinking, and maybe it's not putting on the home on the market this month, but maybe early or mid 2021, right now is the time to get with me so that we can get going, at least come up with a game plan. And you can reach me anytime as we go to break, 376-5483. And again, you can call me day or night, just when I'm off the air.
Are we looking at 1,800 homes on the market right now?
Yeah,
is that
just
correct?
about. It's right in that average there,
which is way low.
Way low. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. We can help a lot of people, but you gotta call us to be able to do that. You're listening to Randy Rocky, Swan Financial, at 645-0736. That's the number to call. He can help you with either buying a home or refi on a home that you're already living in. Kevin Dissler, Pitt and Frank Attorneys, at 895-9900. They do a great job with closing. They've got a big team, and they do a super job. And then again, you can reach me at 376-5483. A reminder, if you want to see what sellers are saying about us, you can go to LouisvilleZillow.com, or you can go to LouisvilleSellersTalk.com and watch what people are saying about us. We're taking a break. We're back in a moment right here on News Radio 840 WHAS. News Radio 840 WHAS, back with you to the top of the hour. With us, Kevin Dissler, who is one of the great attorneys over at Pitt and Frank Attorneys, at 895-9900. Also, Randy Rocky, Swan Financial, 645-0736. They can help you with purchasing a home or refinancing a home. You know, I have mentioned this several times on the show. A couple of, and by the way, Bob Sokoler, 376-5483, and son Greg has the morning off. I mentioned a couple of years ago, 2017, my house was broken into. I'd only lived there about 3 or 4 months, and the house was broken into. We were in the process of putting alarm systems in. Some cameras were in. We have video of the guys who broke in. Police have that video. But I saw this come across, and I said, for all of our sakes, it might be interesting to talk about what rooms burglars hit first, which might be an indication of where you might want to make sure you've got alarms, cameras, or whatever. Guys, you want to take a quick guess what rooms they hit first? It might be pretty obvious, maybe not. Kevin, want to go first? Good.
I would say the master bedroom.
Kev, you?
It seems like gun safe, so wherever that would be located.
You think they they try to break into a gun safe? Really?
Well, they stealing weapons. It tends to be one of the if they can get to it. Yeah. So I'm not sure where that would be.
In 2019, over 1 million American homes were burglarized. That's according to the FBI statistics. There is nothing anyone hopes for in having been hit, I can tell you personally, but it doesn't hurt to plan for a worst case scenario and start by knowing how burglars think. When figuring out where to stash your valuables, you won't want them sitting in plain sight. I mean, that's pretty obvious. NBC New York poll covered convicted burglars and asked them about their habits to get some insights. As it turns out, your belongings might not be so safe in the bedroom. About 75% of burglars reveal that the bedroom, I guess the master bedroom, was the first place that they'd look for things to steal. Meanwhile,
They did it on mine.
Oh, I didn't know that
they did it in my house.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, they got me good.
Same with me. Same with me. So they said 26% say they check in an office or study. 19% of the burglars said the living room would be their top on their list. And almost 16% said they would look in a bathroom. And 21% would look in rooms not listed in what was on this survey. So I will tell you some things that you can do, and I've done. First of all is put a safe in, hidden safe. 2 would be video cameras. You can get Nest cameras. Randy, your video, by the way, speaking of video, has disappeared as long as you're still here with us. But your video disappeared. Yeah.
Looks like a snowman.
It does. There he is. He's back. So video cameras. And I use Nest, and I think I've got about 12 or 14 cameras around inside and outside the house. I don't have them in bedrooms, but I got them leading in. I can spot people. I also added 2 German Shepherd dogs to my house. Sorry, neighbors, but that's when you get burglarized, you do everything you can. And then an alarm system that is now hooked up, working on a regular basis. So any of you?
Question I have for you, Bob. Did you think about taking that footage and putting it up on social media?
You know, that is a good question. Now, this happened in 2017. I gave it to the police. They at the time didn't want anything made of it on a social media basis. But with my connections to my former job, media, as a reporter and anchor, I almost wonder if I should stick that out there and say, listen, don't let this happen to you, and put that out there and see if anybody does know, either on social media or the real media. That's an interesting question. Let me think about that.
There's facial recognition with some of those social media platforms. It's amazing how fast people can find people.
Well, ironically,
speaking of facial recognition, I cannot emphasize enough. I've never seen my wife with a look like she had on her face. She's a wonderful lady, and once we got broken into, it was a real violation for her. And we put cameras and alarm system in, and they tried to break in 2 more times, and they were not successful.
Wow.
Oof. Well, I would tell you, we don't give our alarm people enough credit to make sure that we've got.
I agree.
So, and we're not endorsing any alarm system, other than that there are alarm systems out there. There are video cameras. You know, you run the gamut. All right, let's get back to some more real estate news. FHA, or FHFA, which is the Federal Housing Financing Agency, announcing that it would raise the loan limits for mortgages backed by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Randy, can you give us a kind of a rundown of what that means to all of us?
Yes. So they moved up the conforming loan limits to $548,000, which is a big jump.
Was it 514 before?
514,400, and I believe it might be 514,200. I should know that off the top of my head, but
that's all right.
548. I believe it's moved to 548. I believe that's the number they went up to.
So this means that you don't have to go into a jumbo loan category, which typically is a higher interest rate. Is that what I'm getting at?
That is correct. And they moved what's called high balance, which a lot of areas have, and you could call me on that, to about, I think it's like 760,000 now, which keeps you out of a jumbo price loan. So that's another thing a good thing that has happened as well.
Got it. Let's move to some questions. By the way, next week, we've got 6 killer mistakes you can't afford to make when buying in the winter. That's the topic for next week. Question that came in, Chauncey writes, I've got a problem with the mortgage company I chose when I started buying my home. He names the mortgage company. I will not name it, but I will tell you, Swan is not the name. Originally, they told me, just wanted to let you know.
Thankfully.
Originally, they told me I was qualified to purchase the home. Now I've given them some documents. They're telling me I'm no longer qualified. And Chauncey says, I'm already out money for the inspection. What can I do? So we'll talk legal in a second on this. Randy, let's talk about what actually happened for Chauncey, what made a difference, and what can be done to stop this from happening to people like Chauncey, who applied, was told he can buy, moves forward, and then all of a sudden he's told he can't afford the home?
Well, if they did not have a job change or an income change, then it's the responsibility of the loan officer before they issue the pre-approval to make sure they check their pay stubs and their W-2s and what other documentation they might need to give them a pre-approval. And so they did not do their due diligence, and there's no excuse for that.
So
that's just being, in my opinion, being lazy.
You and I have talked about this privately for a long time, that a lot of loan officers at other lending institutions will wait to further in the process, either because the buyer has asked them to wait or because their work process pushes down the road. So you're saying that loan officers have the option to wait to get this information, and they should be doing this sooner rather than later to prevent this from happening to people like Chauncey. Am I correct?
That is correct. It's amazing how many people send pre-approvals out, and now you guys are on it, though. I mean, there are certain companies, the largest company in America, by the way, and I won't mention name, but there are a lot of realtors that will not take their offers any longer because of that. They just put mud against the wall and then hope it sticks. And it's very sad for our industry. I don't like it at all for our whole overall industry. It makes us look very unprofessional.
I'll go one step further. There's a national company that had such a bad reputation, they changed their name nationally.
Yes.
So that's
right.
That problem didn't stick with them. But we as realtors, we remember and we know, and we are very quick. And if you want to know what that company is, call me. Again, I'm more than happy to tell you, but not on the air. 376-5483. Now, we moved to Kevin on this. So Chauncey writes that he's out money for the inspection. Is there any recourse that a buyer has against a loan officer or a mortgage company that indicates that they can move forward initially, but then says, oh no, now that you've supplied this information, you can't?
Well, sure. I mean, he's reasonably relying upon the information provided by the loan officer, and he's incurring the fees along the way. But the other thing is, the seller could sue for breach of that contract and go after the buyer for damages. You'd have the agents go after for the lost commission. So there's just more than the buyer in that situation. And it's very hard to do, and getting an attorney and going to court or arbitration is very expensive. But the mortgage industry, because what happened back in 2008, has a lot of oversight, state and federal. If you have a particular loan officer or mortgage company doing that, that's the first place I would go to. But Chauncey probably has to worry about the fact that he's made representations to the seller and the seller's agent that he was qualified for that loan. So they may come after him, and I think you'd add the loan officer and the mortgage company along with that.
But here's the question. Doesn't the loan officer have an out by simply saying, well, we didn't have the information up front? Randy, isn't that typically what we hear? You and I have had discussions on this in the past. We hear, you hadn't supplied the information. You didn't give me the correct information up front. This is all on you, not on me as the loan officer. Randy?
I agree. Exactly what you said. And most of the time it is on the loan officer. And that's how they skirt out of it, is they lie. And you and I have talked about that a lot, Bob. And it's been very frustrating for you in a lot of situations. And rightfully so. Because all
agents. Yeah, it's not just me.
With all your agents. And, because there's a lot of times when you are trying to do everything you can to make sure this is a smooth process, and you want to take care of your customers, and then they're just lied to, and it's very sad, and it happens a lot. And
if you have a mortgage company, there's a standard of practice. You shouldn't make that type of representation that people all the way to them the chain are going to rely upon unless you've done your due diligence. If you have not done that, it's like a standard of practice.
We wish.
But good loan officers won't issue those or make those representations unless they have adequate documentation. Randy, knows that. He wouldn't do that.
Kevin, is it illegal for all of us as real estate agents to keep a list of lenders who continually have that type of a problem and thereby wave people away? Is that illegal? Is that Is that restraint of trade? Am I getting into a really bad area there, right?
You're getting into a very bad area. I mean, it's defamation. A lot of mortgage companies is plausible deniability. They will say they had a rogue loan officer, and even though it's their practice. But before you start throwing around allegations like that, you need to make sure that you have more than adequate proof. Yeah, and like you said, you all just mentioned a company or a generic company, but I think we can kind of figure out who it is. But ultimately, you have to weed those people out of the business.
I wish we could put a list together, but again, you hear what Kevin says, and for any buyers or sellers to say, well, why don't we do a list like that? And that now you hear we run into problems. We don't want to get into legal problems. Yeah. All right, we are out of time. My thanks to Kevin Dissler, Pitt and Frank Attorneys at 895-9900. Randy Rocky, Swan Financial, 645-0736. My son Greg, who is not here but does such a great job on our marketing and pictures and so much more. And you can reach me because we are continually, even in December, we are looking for homes to sell day and night. You can reach me anytime to get with me and get me out there to look at the house and get us rolling. 376-5483. Gentlemen, have a great rest of your Sunday. I will, good to have you here. I'll see you next Sunday right here on News Radio 840 WHAS.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you. Take care.
I got to run. All right. See you guys.
Wish me luck. All right. Well, good luck to you, Kev. All right, buddy.
Good luck,
Bye.
Bob.
Yep, bye.